questions 40 to 43 in the ACER purple paper. Question 40. In which direction will the ray of light from the coin emerge after passing through the lens? So to answer question 40, you need to know one fact, and that is this, that when light passes through a converging lens, the image formed will always be inverted. So say we have our lens here, so that's our lens, and our screen, and we have some sort of object. An inverted image is when the light enters this lens and crosses the principal axis to form an image on the other side of the principal axis, therefore producing an inverted image from the actual object. So what we need to see, therefore, is we need to see a light ray that emerges from this converging lens and crosses the principal axis before hitting the screen to form this inverted image. So we can rule out, therefore, 1, 2, and 3, the light rays 1, 2, 3, and that's because they will not cross the principal axis before hitting the screen and therefore will not produce an inverted image. So the correct answer is therefore D for question 40, as only the light ray number 4 will cross the principal axis to form that inverted image that we always see when light goes through a converging lens. So therefore D is the correct answer for question 40. Question 41. What is the distance of the screen from the lens? So this is a pretty simple sort of just sub in the numbers and work it out sort of question. U is the distance of the object from the lens. So we know that U is therefore 18 centimeters. We're trying to figure out V, and we know that the focal length is 6 centimeters. So what we get is therefore 3 on 18 minus 1 on 18, which is equal to 2 on 18. So therefore V is equal to 9 centimeters. So the correct answer for question 41 is A. Question 42. The orientation and size of the image formed on the screen relative to the coin are. So to answer this question, we use the magnification formula. So magnification is equal to the distance between the lens and the screen divided by the distance between the object and the lens, and we times that by -1. So negative I on O is our usual formula, and if we just convert that into the letters that we're using for in the stem, so we get negative V on U. So we found out from the previous question that V is equal to 9 centimeters, so therefore we get negative 9, and we know that U is 18. So therefore we get negative 1 on 2. So what we can say is that our image is going to be inverted, so therefore our orientation is going to be opposite. And the size of that image, well, the magnification is half, so therefore our image is going to be half as big as the actual object, so therefore the image will be smaller in size. So the correct answer for question 42 is D. Question 43. In which direction will ray Y emerge from the lens? So what we've got here is a diverging lens. So what's going to happen is a ray of light will enter the lens and be diverted outwards, so in this case upwards. So that entering ray of light can either be parallel or it can be a converging ray of light, but what will happen is that ray of light, when it exits the lens, will always be diverted outwards. And the way that the direction that it is diverted is in line with the focal point on the entering side of the lens. So this focal point, it will line up perfectly with the ray of light that is exiting the lens. And you can see that in both the first diagram and the second diagram with these various rays of light. But there is one exception to this sort of diverting rule, and that is where the incoming ray of light happens to perfectly line up with the focal point. So if that happens, if the incoming ray of light perfectly lines up with the focal point, what will happen is the exiting ray of light will be parallel to the principal axis. So instead of diverging outwards, the exiting ray of light will be perfectly parallel. And that is what we have for the ray of light that is named ray X. So ray X is perfectly in line with F2, that focal point, and therefore it will emerge from the lens in the direction Z, so it will be perfectly parallel when it exits. But ray Y doesn't have that special condition. Ray Y does not line up perfectly with that focal point, so therefore the exiting ray of light is going to be a diverging ray of light, and it will line up as well with that other focal point, F1. So therefore, out of those various rays of light in the answers, ray of light 2 will be the appropriate direction in which ray Y emerges from the lens, because ray of light 2 perfectly lines up with F1. So ray of light 2, it's a diverging ray of light, and as well it lines up with the focal point. So therefore, for question 43, B is the correct answer.